Yeah, this is getting out of hand. Yeah, we're back again with another apparent Switch 2 leak, and they all have been looking exactly the same, which makes me believe that, yeah, a lot of this information is true. Now, a lot of these leaks are actually coming straight from different companies that are actually working directly with Nintendo. Lots of these are accessory companies already showing off pre-orders for their products and stuff, and even showing off renders of what the console might look like, and even game companies announcing that their game is coming to whatever this new console is by teasing at it. Still, nothing from Nintendo though, and it's strange, and I actually made a video on this a couple days ago talking about how I think it's extremely weird that these companies are just kind of stepping over that line with Nintendo, and every single day more and more companies are doing it, and it's making me wonder if these companies really are upset that Nintendo hasn't announced this thing yet. So they're just like, you know what? Forget them, we're gonna tease it ourselves, and we're gonna show off our product because we need to get our product out there. So yeah, I don't know what's going on, but yet again, another accessory leaked, this time giving us massive details on what the console looks like. But real quick, before we dive into today's information, I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. We got about 95 brand new subscribers yesterday. Let's see how many we can get in today's video. Let's try to beat that number. And also, thank you guys so much for purchasing the Nintendo Land official plushie. We are currently only at 1 day left until the plushies are gone forever, so make sure if you want to get your hands on one, you order today. So apparently we have a new Switch 2 leak from a potential case manufacturer who actually leaked what the case is going to look like sitting on the Nintendo Switch. So we have some more things to go over here. So let's look at this thing and see what's completely different about it and what's actually the same. So right off the bat, it looks like a Nintendo Switch, but just a slightly bit different for sure, and maybe a little bit bigger. But you look at the top buttons and everything, they look primarily the same. Maybe the A, B, X, Y buttons are slightly bigger, and maybe the D-pad buttons on the left are slightly bigger as well. It looks like there's less space in between those buttons. It could just be the angle, but yeah, it looks slightly different. Also, the capture button looks like it comes out a little bit more instead of it just being smooth within the base of the Joy-Con. And on the right side, the home button also looks like it comes out a little bit more, and there's also another button underneath that home button, which we talked about before. We have no clue what it could be, but it just seems to be some type of extra button there. Now we get views of the top and bottom of the Switch, and let's see what's really different here. So first off, once again, this is just going off of a model. I can't really tell a whole lot, but it looks like the Switch game cartridge holder itself is smaller. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm currently looking at my Nintendo Switch, and it definitely looks a little smaller and a little thicker than the cartridge holder we have now. So I'm wondering if the cartridges are going to change. Are they going to be even smaller? It's hard to say, but right beside it, you have that headphone jack still and your vent right beside it, but now in between the headphone jack and the vent, you have a USB-C port. Now the current Switch does not have a USB-C port at the top, only at the bottom. But like you can see with the bottom image, it also looks like we'll have one at the bottom of the console. So one at the top and one at the bottom, which leads a lot of people to also believe there's going to be some type of accessories that Nintendo releases that needs that top USB-C port, but we're just going to have to wait and see. But if you look at the bottom, we also have two fan vents there as well, which we don't have any fan vents at the bottom of the current Nintendo Switch console. So that's cool. The volume control and the power button also seem to be wider, but they also look like they don't stick out still. They're still kind of meshed within the console itself, which is okay. I mean, I also find it kind of difficult sometimes to hit the power button on the Switch because it's almost like inside the console. You got to stick your finger down in that little crevice area. So this looks like it might be a little bit better. But then we have the triggers, which, as you can tell, they're completely different here. The triggers, for one, look a lot bigger. The top L and R buttons are a lot bigger than the skinny versions we have now, and there's also a brand new trigger added at the bottom of the ZL and ZR. Now, what the heck is that? I don't know. A lot of people think it might be the detach button since we don't have one anymore, as you can see. It's just this new trigger, so it's probably how we detach the Joy-Con, because we know that with the Joy-Con, they seem to be magnetic rails this time instead of, you know, just dropping down in the rails, so it won't really be a switch, more like a pop-off instead. Now, we have seen patents that showed that the kickstand was going to be more of a U-shape, and as you can see here, the silicone case actually wraps around this portion of the console, probably showing that it is is in fact going to be a U kickstand, and if you look closely, you can kind of see the edges of the kickstand. Yeah, there's going to be like a big old square or hole in the middle of it, probably for you to run cords through or something like that, but nevertheless, it's a little bit different. As long as you have a longer kickstand base like the OLED model, I really don't care. And then we can see what the Joy-Con look like detached from the console. As you can tell, the railing system is once again a lot different, and it looks like it's just going to attach to the sides of the Switch instead of sliding into the Switch. If you look at the sides of the Joy-Con, you can see the SL and SR buttons are giant this time around. Huge square buttons to push to make it easier if you're playing with the Joy-Con, alone. So that's definitely a plus. And the new rail system, there's like this slot in the middle of the Joy-Con now, where it probably just attaches to the console a lot easier. So yeah, it just looks like an upgraded console with upgraded controllers. Now, I have seen comments already of people saying, wow, this is literally just the Switch with some extra buttons. This is the same thing as the Switch with some extra buttons. Like, I've seen a lot, and I'm actually going to make a video on it because I kind of hear what people are saying on one side, but at the other time, I kind of think like this is exactly what we need, but there's a whole video separately for that. The problem is right now, Nintendo's waiting too long, and I've said this before. It really blew my mind that they didn't do anything in September or October or even November. It is actually very insane that they're still going into the holiday season without even mentioning this thing. And I've said before, if they decide to do this, it's going to hurt them, because what's going to happen is that you're going to get leaks like this, and this is just the beginning. This is going to continue happening throughout the holiday. It's going to continue happening, next year in January and even February if it's not announced yet. So Nintendo needs to jump on this now. Obviously, it's the holiday season now. I mean, it's December 12th, so there's not much we can do about it. So Nintendo's literally just going to have to wait until next year, which is still going to be backstabbing a lot of consumers. A lot of people that went out and bought a new Switch bundle, like the Mario Wonder bundle or whatever else came out this holiday for Switch, and then just to, turn around and hear, oh, Switch 2's announced in the beginning of January, is going to be kind of shady. So I can see a lot of people making returns, which makes me want to believe that Nintendo could be waiting until February to announce this thing, which once again is going to put them in an absolutely horrible spot, because these leaks are going to continue happening. And you might think to yourself, what's the big deal? Who cares? Leaks are going to happen. It is what it is. It is a very big deal, because if these leaks are actually spot on, which they actually seem to be so far, like if this console gets revealed and it's everything that we've been seeing online for the last couple of months, it's not going to be looking great for Nintendo. I know Nintendo hasn't said anything, but that doesn't mean anything for the basic general consumer that's online watching this stuff. They're like already making conclusions about what this console is, what it's going to be like. More information comes out every single day, to the point where we essentially know what this thing's gonna be. So like a reveal for the Switch 2 isn't even gonna blow our minds. So Nintendo's gonna have to have a really banger of a presentation in order to really show off why we want this console. I think one of the biggest things, like I said before, it's going to come down to the games. If they have a huge 3D Mario, a huge Mario Kart, lots of stuff to look forward to off that initial trailer, then I think we're golden. I don't really care what else the console can do, because once again, I think a lot of it for us is just video games. And if we need a new console to play that awesome new video game, then a lot of us are down. But obviously the Switch itself does have to have some differences. The UI has to be different. The console has to be different altogether. I mean, there has to be some type of main changes within the console's, operating system, which we already heard from a rumor that the operating system is still the same as current Switch, which is also kind of scaring me, but we'll talk about that in a different video. Either way, Nintendo, please, you gotta get on top of this thing. Simply show us a trailer, for crying out loud. But we also have the Game Awards tonight, so maybe there's something there. I highly doubt it. In fact, I'm not expecting Nintendo to show up at all, but you know what? It's a potential. There's a potential something could happen tonight. Who knows? It is also kind of sad that Nintendo hasn't tweeted anything, so I really don't think there's anything happening. Normally, Nintendo likes to get eyes on these presentations if something is going to be announced there or happen there, but it doesn't look to be the case. We're going to have to wait and see, but let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about all this? Do you think these rumors are continuing to be real? I mean, this is like the 8th rumor that we've gotten on what the console looks like, and they all seem to be literally the exact same. So I wonder if this is actually what Switch 2 is. But thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know down below what you think about all this. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.